$10,000, that's it. That's all you need to start. Not a million, not a wealthy family, not a tech startup, not a lucky break, not knowing the right people. $10,000 and the right strategy. I started with less than that. Adjusted for inflation, my first real investments were tiny. Paper route money, pinball machine profits, small amounts that seemed insignificant. Those insignificant amounts became billions. Not through luck, not through genius, through a process that anyone can follow. Today I'm going to show you the exact path, the mathematics, the timeline, the strategy, how to turn $10,000 into 10 million. This isn't motivation. This isn't inspiration. This is arithmetic. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't care about your background or education or connections. The numbers work for everyone who follows them. Most people will watch this and do nothing. They'll say that's interesting and go back to their lives. They'll keep doing what they've always done and keep getting what they've always gotten. A few will actually do it. They'll take the 10,000 or 5,000 or 1,000, whatever they have, and they'll start. They'll follow the process. They'll let time do the work. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, those few will be wealthy. The rest will be wondering what happened, why they're still struggling, why wealth seems so elusive. The difference isn't talent. The difference is action. Let me show you exactly what to do. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it doesn't matter. What matters is that he would have been right. Compound interest is the most powerful force in wealth creation, more powerful than any investment strategy, more powerful than stock picking or market timing, more powerful than anything else you can do with money. Let me show you the math. $10,000 invested at 15% annual returns for 50 years becomes $10,800,000. Read that again. 10,000 becomes 10 million. Not through magic, through mathematics, through time and compound returns. But 50 years is a long time. Most people don't have 50 years. Most people want results sooner. So let's look at different scenarios. At 10% returns, roughly what the stock market has averaged historically, $10,000 becomes, after 10 years, $26,000. After 20 years, $67,000. After 30 years, $174,000. After 40 years, $453,000. After 50 years, $1,174,000. That's without adding another dollar, just $10,000 left alone, becoming over $1 million. But what if you can achieve higher returns? What if you can average 15% instead of 10%? At 15%, 10,000 becomes, after 10 years, 40,000. After 20 years, 164,000. After 30 years, 662,000. After 40 years, 2,600,000. After 50 years, 10,800,000. The difference between 10% and 15% is the difference between 1 million and 10 million. Same starting amount, same time period, just 5 percentage points of annual return. This is why strategy matters. This is why learning to invest well pays off exponentially over time. But here's what really accelerates wealth. Adding money consistently. If you start with $10,000 and add just $500 a month at 10% returns, after 10 years, $120,000. After 20 years, $440,000. After 30 years, $1,200,000. After 40 years, $3,200,000. Now we're talking real money, not from a huge starting amount, not from massive monthly contributions, $10,000 to start, $500 a month, average returns. And if you can add $1,000 a month, after 30 years, $2,200,000. After 40 years, $6 million. This is the math of millions. It's not secret. It's not complicated. It's been known for centuries. The question isn't whether the math works. The question is whether you'll follow it long enough. Let me tell you about the most important milestone on the path to 10 million. It's not the first million. It's not hitting 6 figures in annual returns. It's the first $100,000. The first $100,000 is the hardest money you'll ever make. After that, everything changes. Here's why. When you have $10,000 invested and earn 10%, you make $1,000. That's nice, but it's not life-changing. You probably earn more than that in a week or two of work. Your investment returns are smaller than your contributions. You're doing most of the work. The money's barely helping. When you have $100,000 invested and earn 10%, you make $10,000. Now we're talking. That's real money. That's maybe a month or two of salary earned while you sleep. Your investment returns are starting to compete with your contributions. The money is pulling its weight. When you have $1 million invested and earn 10%, you make $100,000. That's a full salary. The money is now earning more than many people make working full-time. At this point, the money is doing most of the work. Your contributions still help, but the compounding is the main engine. The first 100,000 is where you cross from the first stage to the second. It's where the math starts working in your favor instead of against you. Getting to 100,000 requires sacrifice, discipline, patience. You're saving aggressively while watching the number grow slowly. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill. After 100,000, the boulder starts rolling on its own. You still push, but gravity is now helping. Each year, a larger percentage of your growth comes from returns rather than contributions. Charlie and I have talked about this often. The first 100,000 took years. The second 100,000 took less time. By the time we were adding millions per year, the investments were doing almost all the work. How do you reach 100,000 faster? 3 ways. All of them simple, none of them easy. First, start with more. If you have 20,000 instead of 10,000, you're twice as close. Whatever you can scrape together as a starting point matters. Second, contribute more monthly. 500 a month gets you to 100,000 in about 12 years at 10% returns. 1,000 a month gets you there in 7 years. 1,500 a month, 5 years. Third, earn higher returns. This is where skill matters. 10% is average. 15% is good. 20% is excellent. Each percentage point shaves time off your journey. The first 100,000 is a war. Fight it with everything you have. On the other side is a completely different game. Now let's talk about where to put the money. The vehicle that will carry your 10,000 toward 10 million. There are really only 2 options for most people: index funds or individual stocks. Index funds are simple. You buy a fund that tracks the entire market, the S&P 500, the total stock market, whatever index you choose. You own a tiny piece of hundreds or thousands of companies. The advantages are significant. Low fees, automatic diversification, no research required, no stock picking, no individual company risk, average returns with minimal effort. For most people, this is the right choice. 90% of professional fund managers fail to beat the index over the long term. If the professionals can't do it consistently, why would an amateur expect to? An index fund at 10% average returns, held for decades, will make you wealthy. It's boring, it's unsexy, and it works. Individual stocks are different. You're choosing specific companies. You're betting that your picks will outperform the average. The advantages are also significant. Higher potential returns, the possibility of finding the next great company early, more control over what you own. But the risks are higher. Any individual company can go to zero. Your research might be wrong. You might be unlucky. You might be good at picking stocks but bad at timing. A concentrated portfolio is a double-edged sword. I've spent my entire life picking individual stocks. It's worked well for me. But I have advantages that most people don't. Decades of experience, access to management, the ability to analyze businesses deeply, the temperament to hold through volatility. Most people don't have these advantages. Most people would do better with index funds. Here's my honest recommendation. If you're just starting, use index funds. Put your 10,000 into a broad market index fund and forget about it. Add your monthly contributions. Don't check it obsessively. Let it grow. As you learn more, you can allocate a portion to individual stocks, maybe 20% of your portfolio, your experimental money, your learning money. If your picks outperform consistently over 5 or 10 years, you can gradually increase the allocation. If they underperform, stay with the index. The vehicle matters less than people think. What matters is that you're in a vehicle at all. Too many people spend years debating index funds versus stocks, domestic versus international, growth versus value. While they're debating, they're not investing. And the years they spend debating are the most valuable years for compounding. Pick something reasonable. Start now. Optimize later. A mediocre investment strategy executed today beats a perfect strategy executed in 5 years. Every time. The math I showed you earlier assumes a starting amount and consistent monthly contributions. That's the baseline. But you can accelerate the timeline dramatically by doing two things: increasing income and decreasing expenses. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the fuel for wealth creation. Every dollar of that gap gets invested. The bigger the gap, the faster you reach 10 million. Let's start with decreasing expenses. I've talked about the habits that keep people poor: the morning money leaks, the lifestyle creep, the debt habit. All of those reduce the gap. Every expense you eliminate is a direct contribution to your investment account. Not metaphorically, literally. The money you don't spend is the money you can invest. If you can cut $500 a month from your expenses, that's 500 more you invest. At 10% returns over 30 years, that extra 500 becomes over $1 million. $1 million from cutting expenses, from the subscriptions you don't need, from the meals you cook at home, from the car you keep for 2 extra years. This is why frugality matters. Not because spending is evil, because spending has an opportunity cost measured in millions. Now let's talk about increasing income. This is where most people have more potential than they realize. Your income is not fixed. Your income is a variable that you can influence. Skills increase income. Learning and demand abilities. Becoming better at what you do. Becoming valuable to employers or clients. Career moves increase income. Changing jobs often pays more than staying. Negotiating raises. Pursuing promotions. Moving to higher-paying industries. Side income increases income. Freelancing, consulting, building a small business on the side, monetizing skills or knowledge. Every dollar of increased income, if invested rather than spent, accelerates your timeline. If you can increase your income by $1,000 a month and invest all of it, you add over $2 million to your endpoint, just from earning more and not spending more. This is the power move that most people miss. They increase income and increase spending. The gap stays the same. The acceleration never happens. The wealthy increase income and keep expenses flat, or even decrease expenses while income rises. The gap explodes. The investments explode. The timeline shrinks dramatically. I've lived in the same house since 1958. My income has increased by a factor of thousands since then. My housing expense has barely changed. That difference is in my investment accounts. Most people do the opposite. They upgrade everything as income rises. They end up with the same gap at 100,000 that they had at 50,000. Don't be most people. Everything I've described works. The math is irrefutable. The strategy is sound. The path is clear. And most people will fail anyway. Not because they don't understand. Not because they don't start. Because they don't finish. Because they pay what I call the patience tax. The patience tax is every mistake caused by impatience. Every time you deviate from the strategy because you wanted faster results. Every time you sold when you should have held. Every time you chase something hot instead of sticking with the plan. The patience tax is enormously expensive. For most people, it's the difference between wealth and mediocrity. Let me give you examples. You've been investing for 5 years. Your portfolio is up nicely. Then a correction hits. 20% down. You panic. You sell everything. You wait for the bottom to get back in. The bottom happens and you miss it. The market recovers without you. By the time you feel confident enough to reinvest, you've missed 30% of gains. That's the patience tax. Years of progress lost to a few days of panic. Or this scenario. You've been buying index funds like I told you, 10% average returns. But your coworker bought some hot stock and doubled their money. You feel stupid. You feel left behind. So you take your money out of the index fund and buy the hot thing. Right at the peak, it crashes. You lose half your money. You go back to the index fund, but now you're starting over with half. That's the patience tax. Paid because you couldn't watch someone else win without joining the game. Or this one. You've been saving aggressively. Your net worth is growing, but you want a nicer car. You want a bigger house. You deserve it after all this sacrifice. So you raid the investment account. You take $50,000 for a down payment. You set yourself back years of compounding. That's the patience tax, paid because present desires overwhelm future goals. The patience tax has no limit. You can pay it over and over. Every time you lose faith, every time you get greedy, every time you want results faster than the math allows. Avoiding the patience tax is simple in theory. Do nothing. Just hold. Just keep adding money. Just wait. But doing nothing is incredibly hard. Your brain screams for action. The news screams for action. Everyone around you is taking action. Sitting still while everyone else is moving feels wrong. It feels passive. It feels like you're missing something. You're not missing something. You're avoiding the patience tax. And over a lifetime, that avoidance is worth millions. Let me give you realistic timelines. Not fantasy scenarios. Not the outliers who got lucky. What you can actually expect if you do this right. Scenario 1. Starting with nothing at age 25. You have zero. You save $500 a month. You invest in index funds at 10% average returns. At 35, $80,000. At 45, $260,000. At 55, $680,000. At 65, $1,600,000. That's starting with nothing and investing just $500 a month. Millionaire by retirement. If you can invest $1,000 a month, at 35, $160,000. At 45, $520,000. At 55, $1,360,000. At 65, $3,200,000. And if you can invest $2,000 a month, at 65, $6,400,000. These are index fund returns, average, nothing special, just time and consistency. Scenario 2, starting with $10,000 at age 30. You have $10,000 saved. You add $1,000 a month, index fund returns. At 40, $170,000. At 50, $520,000. At 60, $1,400,000. At 65, $2,100,000. Now what if you're a better investor? What if you can achieve 15% returns instead of 10%? Same scenario. 10,000 starting, 1,000 monthly, 15% returns. At 40, 270,000. At 50, 1,100,000. At 60, 4,200,000. At 65, 7,800,000. That's how you get to 10 million. Either more time, or higher returns, or larger contributions. Preferably all three. Scenario 3. Starting late at 45. You wasted 20 years. You're starting now with 20,000. You can invest $1,500 a month, 10% returns. At 55, $320,000. At 65, $900,000. Not 10 million, but almost $1 million from a late start. Still life-changing, still worth doing. And if you can achieve 15% returns, at 65, $1,800,000. The message is this: it's never too late to start. It's always too late to start later than today. Every year you delay is a year of compounding you never get back. The 45-year-old who starts today will always be ahead of the 45-year-old who starts next year. Start now, whatever you have, whatever you can contribute. The timeline adjusts to your inputs. Now let me tell you about the shortcuts. Crypto, meme stocks, options, penny stocks. Whatever the current hot thing is, the path to quick riches, these aren't shortcuts. They're detours. Detours that usually lead nowhere. Or worse, backwards. I'm not saying nobody makes money on these things. Some people do. Some people make life-changing money. But for every person who makes money, dozens lose money. The stories you hear are survivorship bias. The winners talk. The losers stay silent. The math of speculation is brutal. It's a zero-sum game. For every winner, there must be a loser. And you're playing against professionals, against algorithms, against people with more information and more experience. When you buy crypto hoping to double your money, someone is selling it to you. They think it's going down. One of you is right, one of you is wrong. Are you sure you're the smart one in the transaction? The appeal is obvious. Why wait 30 years when you could 10 times your money in a month? Why be patient when others are getting rich fast? Here's why. Because the fast paths are usually dead ends. The person who puts 10,000 into a meme stock has three likely outcomes. 1. They lose most or all of it. Most common outcome. Now they're starting over with less than they began. 2. They make some money, get confident, bet bigger, eventually lose it all. Almost as common. The temporary win becomes a permanent loss. 3. They win big and actually keep the money. Rare, very rare, and usually luck that they mistakenly attribute to skill. The person who puts 10,000 into an index fund has one likely outcome. They have more money in 30 years than they started with. Not guaranteed, but highly probable based on over a century of data. Which bet would you rather make? The shortcuts attract people who are impatient, who want results now, who think the normal path is for suckers. These are exactly the people who pay the highest patience tax, who jump from one hot thing to the next, who are always chasing and never arriving. The wealthy path is boring. It doesn't make good stories. Nobody wants to hear, I put money in an index fund every month for 30 years. But the boring path is the path that works, consistently, reliably, for everyone who follows it. The exciting path creates a few big winners and many big losers. The odds are against you. The house always wins. Skip the shortcuts. They're not shorter. They just feel shorter until you realize you've gone nowhere. Let me tell you the actual secret, the thing that matters more than anything else I've said. Start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have more money, not when you have less debt, not when you understand more, not when the market looks better. Now, this moment, today. Every day you delay has a cost, a real, calculable cost. Let me show you. If you invest 10,000 today and it earns 10% for 30 years, you'll have 174,000. If you wait 1 year and then invest 10,000 for 29 years, you'll have 158,000. 1 year of delay costs $16,000 for doing nothing, for just waiting. 5 years of delay costs $60,000. 10 years of delay costs over $100,000. This is the cost of, I'll start later. It's not free, it's incredibly expensive. More expensive than most purchases you'll ever make. The excuses feel reasonable. I need to learn more first. I need to pay off debt first. I need a bigger emergency fund first. Some of these are valid in specific situations, but for most people, they're just delay tactics. Ways to feel responsible while actually being irresponsible. You can learn while invested. You can pay off debt while invested. You can build an emergency fund while invested. They're not mutually exclusive. The perfect moment will never come. There will always be a reason to wait. The market is too high. The market is too volatile. The economy is uncertain. The economy is always uncertain. The market is always something. If you wait for perfect conditions, you wait forever. I started investing as a child, not because conditions were perfect, not because I understood everything, because I understood that starting was more important than perfecting. Every year I was invested was a year I didn't lose, a year of compounding I'll have forever, a year that people who waited will never get back. If you have $10,000 invested today, if you have $1,000 invested today, if you have $100 invested today, the amount matters less than the action. The action creates the habit. The habit creates the wealth. Open the account today. Fund it today. Buy something today. Even if it's just a single share of an index fund. Tomorrow you'll wake up as an investor, and every day after that, you'll be building wealth instead of thinking about building wealth. Let me give you a specific commitment, something you can do today, something concrete. Step 1, decide how much you can invest monthly. Be honest. Look at your income and expenses. Find the gap. If there's no gap, create one by cutting something. Step 2, open a brokerage account. Today. It takes 15 minutes. Pick any major broker. They're all fine for basic investing. Step 3, set up automatic monthly transfers from your checking account to your brokerage on payday before you can spend the money. Step 4, choose your investment. For most people, a total market index fund. Set it to automatically reinvest dividends. Step 5, Delete the app from your phone, or at least stop checking it. You don't need to watch it grow. Watching it doesn't help. It only tempts you to do something stupid. That's it. 5 steps, 1 hour of work, then the system runs itself. You'll feel the urge to optimize, to pick different funds, to time your purchases, to do more. Resist the urge. More action is not better. The system is designed to work without your intervention. Every time you intervene, you risk making it worse. The hard part isn't starting. The hard part is continuing. For years, for decades, through ups and downs, through boredom and excitement. But the math doesn't require heroism. It doesn't require genius. It requires showing up. Month after month, year after year. Show up long enough and 10,000 becomes 10 million. It's not magic, it's mathematics. $10,000. That's where this journey begins. For you, for me, for everyone who's built wealth through investing. Nobody starts with 10 million. Everyone starts with something smaller, something that feels insignificant, something that seems pointless. It's not pointless. It's the seed. And seeds grow into trees if you give them time. I've shown you the math. At 10% returns, your money doubles roughly every 7 years. At 15%, every 5 years. I've shown you the strategy. Index funds for most people. Automatic contributions. Long time horizon. I've shown you the pitfalls. The patience tax. The lifestyle creep. The shortcuts that aren't. I've shown you the acceleration. Increasing the gap between income and expenses. Starting early. Learning to invest better. Everything you need to know fits in this conversation. There are no more secrets. There are no hidden tricks. The path is clear. The only question is whether you'll walk it. Most people won't. They'll say it takes too long. They'll say the returns are too slow. They'll say they'll start later when they have more. They'll be broke in 30 years wondering what happened, watching others live the life they could have had. A few people will start today, with whatever they have. They'll set up the system and let it run. They'll resist the urge to interfere. They'll pay no patience tax. They'll be wealthy in 30 years, not through luck, not through genius, through simple mathematics applied consistently over time. 10,000 becomes 100,000. 100,000 becomes a million. A million becomes 10 million. It's not exciting. It's not fast. It's not a story anyone will make a movie about. But it works every time. For everyone. The math doesn't discriminate. The math doesn't care about your background. The math rewards anyone who respects it. Start today. Start now. Start with whatever you have. Your future self is counting on this moment. Don't let them down.